Chapter 11, Developing Whole, Part, Place, Value Concepts. The big ideas in this are to create sets of 10, use positions of digits and numbers to determine whether they represent in each size group they count. Number 3, there are patterns in the way that numbers are formed. The grouping of ones, tens, hundreds can be taken apart. And really big numbers are best understood in terms of familiar world reference. Pre-base 10 understandings. Students know a lot about numbers with 2 digits as early as kindergarten. After all, most kindergartners can and should learn to count to 100 and count on sets with as many as 20 or 30 objects. They count students in the room, turn to specified page numbers in their books, and so on. Counting by ones. The students just described know that there are 35 tiles because I counted them. Writing on the number and saying the number are usually done correctly, but their understanding of 53 derives from and is connected to the count by ones approach. Students do not easily or quickly develop as meaning as use of groups of tens to represent quantity. Role counting. Counting plays a key role in constructing base 10 ideas about quantity and connecting these concepts to symbols and oral names for numbers. Students can count sets such as those in Figure 11.1 using 3 distinct approaches. Number 1, counting by ones. Number 2, counting by groups and singles. Number 3, counting by tens and ones. Regardless of the specified activity that you may be doing, your foremost objective should be helping students integrate the grouping by tens concept with that of the know that numbers of the counting by ones. If they first count by ones, the question might be, what will happen if we count these groups by groups and singles, or by tens and ones? Base 10 models for place value. Physical models for base 10 concepts play a key role in helping students develop the idea of a 10 as both a single entity and as a set of 10 units. Remember, though, that the models do not show the concepts for the students. The students must mentally construct the 10 makes one relationship and impose it on the model. Groupable models. Models that most clearly reflect the relationships of ones, tens, and hundreds are those for which the 10 can actually be made by grouped with single pieces. Now that we have a sense of important place value concepts, we turn to activities that assist students in developing these concepts. The connections with the most important components of writing numbers and with the way we say numbers, the bottom 2 corners of the triangle in Figure 11.3 are discussed separately to help you focus on how to do each. However, in the classroom, the oral and written names for the numbers can and should be developed with concert and conceptual ideas. Because students come to their development of base 10 concepts with the count by ones idea of number, you must begin there. You cannot abruptly impose a grouping by 10 on students. Students need to experiment with showing amounts in groups of like size and perhaps come to an agreement that 10 is a very useful size to use. The following activity could be done in first grade or early second grade and designed to example most effort at developing grouping concepts. Counting in groups. Find a collection of items that students might be interested in counting, perhaps the number of shoes in a classroom, a jar of cubes, a long chain of plastic links, or a number of crayons in the classroom crayon box. The quantity should be countable somewhere between 25 and 100. Pose that question: how could we count our shoes in some way that could be easier by counting by ones? Whatever suggestions you get, try to implement them. In this section, we focus on helping students connect the bottom 2 corners of the triangle in 11.3. Oral and written names for numbers with their emerging 10-base concepts of using groups of 10 or more hundred as efficient methods of counting. Know that the ways we say and write numbers are conventions rather than concepts. Students must learn these by being told rather than through problem-based activities. It is also worth remembering that EL students, the convention of pattern in our English number words is probably not the same as their native language. In the first and second grades, students need to connect the base 10 concepts with the oral numbers named they have used many times. Place value mats are simple mats divided into 2 or 3 sections to hold ones, tens, or ones, tens, and hundreds pieces shown. You can suggest to your students that the mats are a good way to organize their materials when working with base 10 blocks. Explain the standard way to use a place value mat is with the space for ones on the right and the tens and the hundreds to the left. Relationships with landmark numbers. One of the most valuable features of both the hundreds chart and the little 10 frame cards is how clearly they illustrate the distance to the next multiple of 10, the end of the row in the chart, or the blank spaces in the 10 frame card. Multiples of 10, 100, and occasionally other special numbers such as multiples of 25 are referred to as landmark numbers. For students who have good concepts of numbers beyond 1,000, the place value ideas that they have been carefully developing must be extended. This is sometimes difficult to do because physical models for thousands are not readily available, or you may just have one large cube to show. Two important ideas developing for three-digit numbers should be extended to larger numbers. First, the grouping idea should be generalized, that is, 10 in any position makes a single thing, or a group in the next position, and vice versa. Second, the oral and written patterns for numbers in three digits are duplicated in a clever way for every three digits to the left. These two related ideas are not as easy for students to understand as adults seem to believe.